Hey, everybody, it's Ken and Daniil,
Hello.
and we are here with Tarek Moussa. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. How you guys doing today?
It's good, man. I've watched you on TV. Like, obviously, you got a huge presence. I'm excited to talk about, where you've come from, what you're doing now. You've built an incredible brand online. It's been really, really fun to watch. So why don't we just start with that first question?
Yeah, everyone obviously knows you from Flip or Flap, right? That was like a
Yep.
huge hit. Can you take us back to how you got started in investing and ultimately flipping?
My first 6 months in the business, I was young, hungry, motivated, excited, totally struck out. I didn't know what to do, no sales. And then I learned early on, well, you can be young, hungry, and excited and motivated. But if you don't know what to do, what do you work on, right? And that's why coaching is important. So after 6 months of striking out, there was a real estate event that came into town thrown by a guy named Mike Ferry. Have you ever heard of him?
Yeah.
At the time, coaching was $1,000 a month. And clearly, I did not have $1,000, but I was in a position where I had to burn the boats because I had to go all in. So I swiped my credit card, and here's what happened. I got a coach, and I did exactly what my coach told me to do times 10. So he told me to knock on 50 doors. I knocked on 500 doors. He told me to talk to 20 people. I talked to 200 people. And I did what I like to call the 90-day sprint. So I made a deal with myself. I gave my young Tarek 90 days to either figure out real estate or I'm going back to school. I did not want to go back to school. So I committed to working 12 hours a day, Monday through Saturday, and 3 hours on Sunday night. And all I did was cold call expired listings and for sale by owners. And here's what happened. After 90 days, I ended up making about $120,000 in real estate commissions.
There's some really good lessons here that I don't want to pass over for everyone. And the first one is that you found a coach or a mentor. I think that's really important, that the hiring of Mike Ferry, or that coach to get you to that next level. People look at that as an expense. I look at that as an investment. So can you talk about that?
Man, my slogan at Homeschooled by Tarek. So Homeschooled is where I teach people how to flip houses. And the reason I built that entire company is because what coaching did for me in my life. Like, it's my turn to give back, right?
Yeah.
So coaching, I mean, for me, it was the foundation of all of my success. If it wasn't for that coaching early on, I never would have got to where I am today. There's just no way.
Now, how did you go from being, a realtor and then starting to do well there? Now you're broke at 25. Like, what's the next part of your story?
What I learned early on is you have to find a repeatable system to always get deals. Meaning, most real estate agents, they'll do 4 or 5 deals a year, and they have no idea where those deals are coming from or when they're coming, right? Because there's no repeatable system. So I learned to build repeatable systems through sales. So the expired listings, they stopped working because sellers wouldn't drop their price. So for about a year and a half, I really struggled. And then I learned about short sales. So then I started knocking notice of defaults and calling notice of default properties. And I started listing short sales. In 2010, I closed on a short sale. There was a first lien, a second lien, a third lien, an HOA lien, and an IRS lien. It took me like 11 months. And at the end of the day, I got a check for about $7,000. Well, the person I sold it to, he hired a gardener, cut the lawn, hired a painter, painted the house, steam cleaned the carpets, and flipped it a couple weeks later, made like $130,000. And I said, well, wait a minute. There's something wrong here. I said, I found the buyer, I found the seller, I negotiated the deal. I got 7,000. Why did this guy make 130,000? And that was the exact moment I realized I was on the wrong side of the real estate equation. I didn't want to sell these things. I wanted to own these things. And that's the exact moment I made a decision to become a real estate investor. So, of course, I went out to everybody I knew. They gave me all the reasons why it wouldn't work. I was too young. It's too speculative. The market's too risky, blah, 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 blah. Every no I got was gas to my fire because I was like, man, I'm going to prove you wrong. And finally, I did ask somebody that was already a multimillionaire. And as soon as I asked the question, they said, if you find a deal, I'll buy a house with you. I was like, done. Right around that same time, there was another Mike Ferry convention in Las Vegas, Nevada. There was a guy on stage talking about how he made $800,000 a year selling houses. And for me, I'm like, God, that's a lot of money. So at the break, I ended up talking to this gentleman. And it was my first time really trying to network. And I realized the power of live events that day, by the way.
Yep.
So I met with him. And he told me he gets most of his business from his local TV show. And I was like, TV? My ex-wife, Christina, she has 1 foot up the stairs. We lived in San Clemente, California at the time. And she asked me, are you coming to bed? And my response was, no, I'm going to get us a TV show. I jumped on Google and I typed in Hollywood production companies, websites came up, and I just started hitting the casting department with my idea.
Good for you. How many did you send out, and how long did it take to secure the first deal?
So I sent out 3 emails. I woke up the next morning. One of them responded. They said, send us a home video. So I borrowed a video camera from my buddy and I documented the very first flip, that condo for $115. And so right after I delivered that pilot, within weeks, I get a contract from the network saying they want to do 13 houses in 10 months on national TV. It sounds very exciting, right? 2 problems.
You don't have 13 houses?
Problem 1, I don't know how to flip houses. What? How am I going to flip 13? Problem 2, even if I did, where in the world am I going to get all this money? I mean, I was on my 3rd house over a year, right? So I called my lawyer at the time who took me on as a client on a payment plan. And I said, well, what's the worst that could happen? And he goes, well, they could sue you. And I looked around my apartment and I looked around for a second. I said, they can have it. So I signed that contract. And again, I burned the boats. And I said, listen, if I sign this thing, I'm going to do whatever it takes to fulfill this contract and make it happen. And that's what I did. That very first year, I learned how to flip houses on TV. And I found the houses I flipped mostly from driving from 10 p.m. until 4 a.m. almost every single night by properties that were going to the auction the next day. And the reason I drove by them was to make sure nobody lived in them, because for the show, I could only buy vacant properties.
Is thinking about something. Most people don't take action or execute or take the next step. And don't forget, again, the lesson was it came from a live event.
Oh yeah. Live events, if you ask me, the most powerful thing in the world. If it wasn't for a live event, I wouldn't have joined coaching. If it wasn't for a live event, I wouldn't have gotten the idea for my TV show. Like I think live events are the most powerful thing in the world.
Yeah, we do one a year in Phoenix called Limitless. We'll be about 2,000 people June 15th, 16th, 17th. And we got Patrick Bet David, we got Robert Kiyosaki, we got Pace spoke last year, Brandon Turner, all those guys. They'll all be there. Thatch, Thatch probably. And
yeah, all my buddies.
I think it's interesting how there are all these things. There's taps on the shoulder all the time, and you took advantage of a lot of them to get you where you are. What are you doing now? Because it looked to me like you're moving to this passive income model, where you got that reoccurring revenue. Because I started just like you. I was doing big condo conversions, and we were buy a 300 unit and sell them off one by one, and at the end I don't own anything, and I still made a lot of money, but I paid a lot of tax, and my lifestyle, I upgraded everything. But then I was like, damn, I just worked my ass off for 10 years. So it looked to me like I looked at your website, the TEM Capital. You've got your hat there. Looked like you're working with people, raises of capital, getting involved in more on the passive income side. So is that what's next for you?
Yeah. So in 2015, it was one of my very first, really big earning years. And I met with my CPA, and I just couldn't believe how much money I owed in taxes.
Yep.
I couldn't believe it. I said, this is robbery. Like, there's no way people pay this. And he goes, they don't. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, you're in real estate. You're just doing real estate wrong. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, every time you flip a house, you are getting taxed to the max. He said, the best thing I could do is buy these and wait. And then he taught me about depreciation. He taught me about cost segregations. So I bought my first commercial deal in 2015, paid 4.9 for it, got an SBA loan, only put $500,000 down. And we actually just refinanced it. I think it appraised at 13.5 million. So what did I learn? Yeah, buy it and wait. Okay. Because there's so much work. Like if I could go back and never have flipped a house, I never would have flipped a house. Okay. But I can't go back. And I had to if I wanted to build a brand and get TV shows. Right. So that's when I started thinking about commercial real estate. So I launched this company, TEM Capital, and we're buying multifamily and self-storage around the country. We just purchased 376 units in Northwest Arkansas. We're currently purchasing 215 units in Orlando. We're developing 202,000 square foot of self-storage in Surprise, Arizona. And then the newest project that I'll be announcing in the next couple of weeks is we're going to be developing 138 apartments in North Hollywood, California. So that is like the prime real estate. And I'm just so excited about that project.
Tarek, how do people reach you, and how can they find out more about some of these shows and certainly your event coming up in April?
Sure. The best place to get all the information about me is probably my social media, which on Instagram, it's The Real Tarek El Moussa. On Facebook, it's just Tarek El Moussa. And then for people that want to actively learn how to flip houses, the website's homeschooledbytarek.com.
I appreciate your time, and it's been fun to watch your career, and I can't wait to watch your future success. And let's have you back on here as you start to venture into the passive income route, which is what I've been doing for the last 20 years. And thanks again for all what you share.
Absolutely. And you never know, I might just come out in June. It sounds like fun in your event.